Alright guys, welcome to This Week in Wrestling, covering everything that's gone on over the course of this past week. A week which seen the Final Deletion take place as Brock and Matt Hardy took on Brother Nero in one of the most bizarre wrestling matches you will ever see. Even though it's taking place, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it, so you can go and watch it right now on the TNA YouTube channel, complete with all the segments that led up to the match itself, so I'll leave a link to that in the video description. As for the reaction, it's one of those things where you either love it or you hate it, and I absolutely loved it. Yes, it was over the top, way over the top, but that's what I loved about it, because it didn't take itself seriously. It was just Matt and Jeff having fun and remind us that, wrestling doesn't always have to be straight up serious affairs. It can be all out there and so bizarre at times, and as long as it's entertaining people, then it works. As for your reactions, this week's question of the week asks, what did you think of the Final Deletion? You can see Twitter responses across the bottom of the screen where most people seem to enjoy it, but let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Staying with TNA, and they also announced this week plans to switch back to airing Impact on Thursday night starting July 21st, which is a smart move as SmackDown begins airing live on Tuesdays that week, and going up against them may well have finished them off. Switching WWE, and ahead of his fight at UFC 200 this weekend against Mark Hunt, WWE announced that Brock Lesnar will be competing at Summerslam, where he'll take on the returning Randy Orton. The match was announced on SmackDown this week, where it was noted that these two originally trained together in OVW when they signed with WWE. However, the only time the two have faced off previously on TV was back in 2002, when they faced off on SmackDown, with Lesnar, the then WWE champion, coming out on top. As for Orton's return, it doesn't come as too much of a surprise, as I reported last week that WWE have begun listing him for live events in August, and that sees him in action for the first time in nearly a year after he suffered a shoulder injury that required surgery. Also on SmackDown this week, you may have noticed Jerry the King Lawler made his return to commentary, as WWE.com announced last weekend that WWE had lifted Lawler's suspension after all domestic assault charges against him had been dropped. Going from television, print, and WWE and Boom Studios announced this week that they're teaming up to produce brand new WWE comic books and graphic novels. As of yet, there's no release date set, but they did give away a tease of what to expect when they released these 4 cover shots, which feature The New Day, Triple H, Sasha Banks, and John Cena. Finally, WWE have released the official preview for next week's episode of Monday Night Raw, and it features a big return as the chairman himself, Vince McMahon, will be live Monday night to address the ongoing power struggle over who takes charge of SmackDown when it goes live later this month. Also announced for the show is Rusev defending the United States Championship against Zack Ryder, who surprisingly picked up wins on both Raw and SmackDown last week, as well as a Battle Royal to name the #1 contender for the Miz's Intercontinental Championship. Anyway guys, that brings us to the end of This Week in Wrestling. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd love it if you could drop it a like. Let me know your thoughts on all of this week's stories in the comments. Have an awesome weekend, and until next time, I'll catch you later.